What is going on, beautiful people? My name is BetSam, and this is going to be the UFC full card prediction and breakdown for UFC Baku. And before I get into it, I did want to talk a little bit about last week, UFC Atlanta. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it, guys. That was the worst UFC betting performance from BetSam ever. Full stop, period. I got my shit kicked in. I went 6 out of 12 for predictions. If you took some monkeys at the zoo and you gave them a piece of paper with all the names on it, you said, smear some feces on the person you think's going to win, I think that shit would have slapped harder. The reality is, though, nobody has been looking forward to UFC Baku more than myself. I've been looking to clear my good name so when the first fight rings out and the first round starts, no one will be bearing a sigh of relief more than myself because it cannot get worse than last week. So we're going to look into UFC Baku with bright eyes, with hope, and we're looking for a fucking comeback, baby. So strap in, enjoy the ride. The first fight of the night we have is Hamdi Abdul Wahab taking on Muhammad Usman. And in this matchup here, guys, I do want to start off by saying the Egyptian, Hamdi Abdul Wahab, he's gone out there. He's done it for us. He went out there against Jamahal Pogues, got the W. On the Muhammad Usman side, though, this guy's beaten the likes of Zach Pauga, Jake Collier, Junior Tougher. Like, an absolute terrible resume of wins inside the UFC, and he's lost to Mick Parkin, and now he's lost to Thomas Peterson. I think he loses to Hamdi Abdul Wahab here, and honestly, as fight day approaches closer and closer, we're less than 48 hours away now from the main card kicking off, and I'm going to say that, Hamdi Abdul Wahab should have been, more considered for Slam of the Week because Muhammad Usman, 36 years old here, he's coming in here not amazing at any one facet of his game. And Hamdi, is an Olympic-level wrestler, and I think his striking is on par with Muhammad Usman. So I'm going to go Hamdi Abdul Wahab. Pretty confident in this. I'm leaning towards the decision, but I would say that if he won by finish, it definitely wouldn't surprise me. That's going to be the first official pick. Give me Hamdi the Hammer to get it done. Near enough to hometown soil. I think Hamdi all day, baby. And then we got Tagir Ulanbekov taking on Azat Maksim. This is Russia versus Kazakhstan, and Tagir Ulanbekov fighting out of Dagestan. See how I did that? Let's run it. Tagir Ulanbekov, listen, he's from the Dagestani pack, This is Khabib's fucking boy, He growing up with him. They've got blood, sweat, and tears, days in the hot tub, and all the rest of it. Shout out Pride Month. Tagir Ulanbekov, he was the runt of the litter, if you will. He's one of the guys fighting down here in flyweight, but he is, born and bred out of that Dagestani pack. And I cannot emphasize that enough because the guy's got the beard, no mustache. I'm all in on him. If you don't know, he's the first leg of Slam of the Week here. Azat Maksim, while I actually do like this fighter, I picked him to beat Charles Johnson. He'd let me down to no end in that fight. I will say that his striking is actually going to be his most dangerous asset in this matchup. But if you look at Tagir Ulanbekov, man, he's been building off of his jab. The further and further that he gets into his career, you could see that Tagir is really starting to, build into his frame and all the rest of it. And if this guy's even remotely unhealthy leading into a weight cut there, he'll just pull out of the fight. So if Tagir Ulanbekov makes the walk, he's going to be happy, he's going to be healthy, and he's going to go out here against Azat Maksim and get it done for Dagestan. I'm looking for a stellar performance here, and I think Tagir can really make a name for himself in this ever-changing flyweight landscape. Then we have Ireana Aleksandar taking on Claudia Sigula. Claudia Sigula, probably the best-looking woman on this card. I don't know if that's going to help her in this matchup here against Russian Ronda. Every photo I've seen of Ireana Aleksandar, she looks like a different person, and that is wild. She is coming in here. She's a little bit older at 34 years old, coming in off of a 2-year layoff. She has lost to Melissa Mullins, but so has Claudia Sigula, and everybody else seems to have lost to Melissa Mullins or is about to lose to Melissa Mullins on this fight card. Ireana Aleksandar, according to the court of public opinion, the boys on Tapology, my fellow YouTube cappers, everybody's talking about how she's going to go out there and finish Claudia Sigula, going to make it look easy. Claudia Sigula isn't a UFC-level fighter. I understand all of that, but this is a 2-year layoff off of a fighter that I'm not high on at all. I'm not laying the chalk on Ireana Aleksandar here. I'm not playing Claudia Sigula either. I will fill up my drinks and go get more snacks during this matchup here. I think you should stay away at all costs. I don't see value on either side. As far as a pick goes, just don't watch it. I'm not even going to give you guys an official pick because I would just be blowing smoke right here. I watched the tape. I'm not impressed with either of these women. And that's the thing as well, guys. You're going to see a few more of these fights where I'm not going to give a pick coming into the future because, people talking about tracking picks and bets, I pick a lot of fights and, I might get them wrong, but I don't bet on a lot of these fights, man. If you watch a lot of these fights that people are taking credit for these picks on, this is not one where I would be laying any action. So I'm going to move on from this one. No interest in me whatsoever in this matchup. Now, then we have Daria Zlesnikova versus Melissa Mullins. And this is a matchup that actually does matter for the division, and it is a matchup where, these fighters do have some skills. So I'm going to say that Daria Zlesnikova is the better striker here, and that is not really an opinion. I would say that's more factual. It's, her background here. She is a kickboxer. She is a striker. Melissa Mullins, it's definitely evident both in her fights and her background that the striking is only to serve to the grappling. That being said, I do think Melissa Mullins gets this fight to the mat. And once she does, I think it's going to be, all over Rover for Daria Zlesnikova. Even if she doesn't find a finish, I think it's going to be racking up control time. She's going to be landing, short elbows, short shots, and I think she'll just control her. So I'm going to go Melissa Mullins here. I'm going to go against the grain, though, because I have heard a lot of people talking about Melissa Mullins inside the distance. They think that she's going to find a finish. And, while I don't think that's outside of the question, I think this is one of those fights where it is a women's fight. And the decision on the favorite here in Melissa Mullins is actually at a reasonable price. You're getting plus money on this decision here. So I'm going to take Melissa Mullins to win this fight on the scorecards. I think she gets it done pretty easily. Then we have Ismael Nurdiev taking on Jeongyong Park. Ismael Nurdiev is coming off the win over Bruno Silva. And that's not the flyweight, guys. This is Bruno Silva blindado, blind as a dodo after he got both of his eyes poked out by Chris Weidman. Shout out Chris Weidman, paying off the fucking referee. Just let him poke him in both eyes and get a KO on that one. I'm still salty about that, and we'll never let it go. But Jeongyong Park here, taking on Ismael Nurdiev. Ismael Nurdiev looked good in his last fight, but it was against Bruno Silva, and Bruno Silva was absolutely, to say he's at the tail end of his career would be a very kind way to put it. Bruno Silva is both feet out the door, and they're probably yeeting him out of the UFC. Jeongyong Park here should go out here and should show levels. I really do believe that, because if you look at this stylistically, Jeongyong Park is going to turn up. He's going to be more physical. I think that he's going to be the larger frame once he's inside of there. I know he's a little bit shorter, but I think he's going to be a thick boy. I think he's going to be able to put the grappling on Ismael Nurdiev, and I honestly do expect him to find a submission, but if not, I expect it to be a 30-27 decision. So I'm going to go Jeongyong Park. I do have a soft spot in my heart for the Iron Turtle. Let's go. I love his little dance that he gets in the win, and I hope I get to see it come fight night. Then we have Seokyeon Ko taking on Oban Elliot, the Welsh gangster. And, Seokyeon Ko, in his previous matchup, it fell apart. Oban Elliot, in his previous matchup, it fell apart. Both of these guys, the matchmaker said, fuck it, let's throw them together. And I don't hate it. Seokyeon Ko, he's coming in here in a manner with nothing to lose. He's the biggest underdog on this card. Oban Elliot, the biggest favorite, obviously. And I think that this is a matchup that he's expected to lose. And so for that, I actually like that Seokyeon Ko can come out here and just show up and do what he wants to do here. So it's not like he's going to get thrown out of the promotion if this doesn't go his way. So he's going to get another reset. And so I think he can let it all hang out here. And if you've watched this guy fight, I actually have, likened him to a bit of a knockoff Korean Jean Silva. And you guys might look at me, what the fuck are you saying? But listen, I know it's up in weight here. I know that he's a 170-pounder. But if you watch the way he likes to walk forward through strikes, keeping his eyes on the target and looking to land the bigger power, that's what it reminded me of. That's what BetSam came to the conclusion of. So Seokyeon Ko here against Oban Elliot. I do think Oban Elliot, if he chooses to utilize his grappling advantage, should be able to get Seokyeon Ko down to the mat more or less whenever he wants. But if he decides to stand and trade, that opens the doorway for Seokyeon Ko to land that big shot. And Oban Elliot has been finished up in the past. We have seen that chin be cracked. And so Seokyeon Ko here, as an underdog, I don't hate the pick. But for the official pick, I would say Oban Elliot is the rightful favorite here and should get a victory. I expect him to win by submission or decision. Then we have Muhammad Nimov versus Bogdenrad. And listen, guys, Muhammad Nimov, multi-time Slam of the Week winner and also an underdog opportunity winner. Friend of the channel. He did let us down one time against Felipe Dos Santos, RIP. But other than that, he's been a very, very kind betting asset to the channel. Bogdenrad on the other side, went out there against Lucas Aleksandar and, did what he did. It was a good performance there. He handled some adversity in the first round, came back in the second round, just drowned him, got that ground and pound TKO victory in the second round. Bogdenrad seems and looks like he is like a vampire or some type of creature. And I fucking love it, but I don't know that this is the matchup where I'm going to jump on him. I very much heavily considered him for the underdog opportunity to be the official underdog that was going to go up on the We Want Picks website. Ultimately, what swayed me off is the fact that Muhammad Nimov has dangerous knees up the middle, and he also has pretty strong straight shots that he throws down the center, and I don't like Bogdengrad's defense. So I'm going to lean towards Nimov's way. I don't have action on him. But I will say that if Bogdenrad goes out here and turns this into a fucking dogfight and Muhammad Nimov isn't just lighting him up, then, there's a live betting opportunity here for Bogdenrad for sure. So Bogdenrad as an underdog, I don't hate it. But for the official pick, I'm going to go Muhammad Nimov to win this fight by knockout or decision. Then we have Nazim Sadikov taking on Nicholas Iron Malta. And listen, Nicholas Malta, former underdog opportunity winner for UFC Macau. And, to my BetSam supporters, the longtime homies, the people that tuned in during the UFC Macau live stream, I'm talking to you. That was actually one of the greatest UFC events that I've had the privilege of sharing to my members on this channel. And, we live streamed UFC Macau. It was on an awesome time zone for New Zealand. And Nicholas Malta came through for us here, going out there and defeating Makhachev out there in Macau. But that being said, I just don't love this matchup for him. I think Nazim Sadikov, you watch, this guy hits with some serious intent, and I don't know that Nicholas Malta is going to be able to take the shots coming back his way. Of course, he's always live for a knockout. He throws pretty big, and he seems to have a knack for hitting things, but watching Nicholas Malta get KO'd by Jim Miller and then seeing Nazim Sadikov standing across from him, I got to go Nazim Sadikov inside the distance. The price is ugly, but that's because the play is good. Nazim Sadikov to win this fight inside of 2 rounds. Let's get it. Then we have Tafik Musayev taking on Miktabek Orolbai. I will be honest with you guys, and this is a little piece of transparency here because I had this similar feeling last week, and this isn't like, I should have told you, but I did have this feeling when I saw Kamaru Usman last week, is that I saw Kamaru Usman on the scale, and he looked fucking massive, and I started to get a little bit, maybe Buckley might not get it done. That was my honest reaction. I didn't do anything about it. I didn't pull any of my own bets. I didn't tell the people of the community. I just had this voice of doubt. And that similar voice of doubt has come into play in this matchup here against Tafik Musayev. More so because, he looks incredibly explosive at the open workouts. He's turned up. He's in great shape, all the rest of it. But I will say that in this matchup here, I don't think that Tafik Musayev is going to have a big grappling advantage. And I don't think that Miktabek Orolbai is chinny. So it's not similar to how Kamaru Usman, was going to have that grappling advantage if he could get Joaquin Buckley to the mat. I don't know if I bumbled that and fumbled that, but I certainly struggle with it. Tafik Musayev, though, he's going to have the speed advantage. That's not a question. If you watch this guy strike, he is fast as fuck. He's got those fast twitch fibers. He can definitely strike moving forwards, moving backwards, and Miktabek Orolbai gets hit. But, and this is a huge but, I think Miktabek Orolbai is literally going to drag this fucking dude to the ground and strangle him. I genuinely, this is, when I watch the tape, all the rest of it, Tafik Musayev isn't fighting anybody the likes of Miktabek Orolbai. Go back and you watch what Orolbai did to Uros Medic, Go back and you watch Orolbai fighting anybody. This guy is fucking relentless. Tafik Musayev is going to have to defend takedown after takedown. And he's not safe on the feet either. Orolbai can crack, man. So I'm going to say Miktabek Orolbai, second half of the Slam of the Week. Goes out there, gets it done, and I think he finds a finish as well. So I'm going to go Miktabek Orolbai. I'm leaning submission at this time. So, Miktabek Orolbai by submission. Let's get it done, my Kyrgyzstan brother. Then we have Curtis Blades taking on Rizvan Kunaev. And I'm actually a Curtis Blades fan. I'm a Razor Blades fan. I'll be honest with you guys. I've been a fan of Curtis Blades for a long time. And ever since I started watching the sport, and guys, tea break here. I gotta sip on this tea. That's nice milk. Listen, Curtis Blades, I've been a fan of him for a long time. And the reason I bring that up is I am always tending to want to lean towards picking him in fights, but he's let me down. so many times. And I know it's against hard hitters. But Derek Lewis, you go watch that matchup against Derek Lewis. He was absolutely winning that matchup. You go watch the first round of that fight. Curtis Blades is doing great. Then he just gets absolutely sacked with an uppercut. Slumped. The ground and pound was vicious after. Curtis Blades goes out there, doesn't shoot a takedown against Sergey Pavlovich, the destroyer of the division. Gets slumped. The trend here is that Curtis Blades it seems like he's in love with getting knocked out. So Curtis Blades against Rizvan Kunaev here. I would say I was going to pick Curtis Blades. Now the matchup's been rebooked and rebooked and rebooked. I keep staring at this goddamn matchup. I cannot pick Curtis Blades, but I also don't want to pick Rizvan Kunaev. I'm going to say this fight ends by knockout because I think Curtis Blades comes in here with a striking game plan, and Rizvan Kunaev is going to look to stand and bang as well. I'm just going to say fight to end by knockout. I'm not going to pick a winner. I hope my boy Blades gets it done, though. Then we have Rafael Fiziev taking on Ignacio Bahamondes. Listen, guys, I'm going Bahamondes, burying the lead right here. 6'3" from Chile, taking on Rafael Fiziev from Kazakhstan here. This guy here, Fiziev, is fast as fuck, bro. And he's got an amazing arsenal of weapons. But he's small for this division. He is legitimately small for a lightweight. Ignacio Bahamondes on the other side, ridiculously big. Like, just absolutely absurdly big. You know, this guy is just the largest individual you're going to find for a lightweight frame. And he seems to rehydrate really well. He can strike, he can grapple, he has dangerous submissions. I got to go Baja here. I'm riding the Bahamondes wave all the way to the top, man. And I even think that Bahamondes is going to find a finish as well. I think he's on one, dog. And I'm going to go Ignacio Bahamondes. I like his team. I like his body of work. And I wasn't that impressed with Rafael Fiziev in his last fight as well. So, yeah, give me Bahamondes. Main event time. We have Jamahal Hill taking on Khalil Rountree Jr. Battle of Alex Pereira's children here. Listen, Jamahal Hill has received a lot of hate from the people. I've been a Jamahal Hill enjoyer for a long period of time. And Khalil Rountree Jr., I've been a Khalil Rountree Jr. enjoyer as well. I picked Alex Pereira to win by knockout against Khalil Rountree Jr., but I was cheering for Khalil from my couch. I was, he won the first round. He won the second round. I swear to God, that fight gets less and less impressive the more I watch it. So Khalil Rountree Jr. is coming into this matchup high off the heels of a competitive performance against Alex Pereira. Jamahal Hill coming off of a valiant defeat against Yuri Prohaska. Both of these guys need a fucking win here, and they need it bad. Jamahal Hill looked to be a little bit more trimmed up for this one. I've been a Jamahal Hill fan. He's got a bigger frame here. He does have a knack for finding the knockout. I'm going to take Jamahal Hill to win this fight by knockout. Guys, that's the breakdown. It's quick. It's easy, and we got it to you super fucking late. So roast me in the comments for turning up goddamn late, just about fight night, and you guys are hanging out for the BetSam community picks. I'll do better next week. But as for now, guys, thank you very much for tuning in. And if last week, me missing every single bet didn't do it for you, then why not try this week? Surely I can't lose 2 weeks in a row, right? So sign up to WeWantPicks.com/BetSam for all bets, round line lines, many other tools. Code BetSam for 10% off all memberships. It's only $10. You've spent more in the McDonald's drive-thru. Don't lie. Adam, I'm talking to you. Take it easy, boys, and I'll see you all at the motherfucking cash counter.